The armed man forced his way onto the school bus. His face covered, he scanned the children's faces on the bus, then asked in Arabic for a specific child by name. Upon finding her, the man approached her, aimed his gun, and shot her in the head. The bullet went through the young girl's skull and lodged into her shoulder. This was Pakistan, 2014, and the man was with the Taliban, a group determined to stop girls and women from obtaining an education in the country. By way of suicide bombing and other terrorist attacks, the Taliban destroyed over 400 schools in Pakistan at which females attended. It is much easier to control people if one denies them education, which is the first rule of slavery. Women who have an education are dangerous to an oppressive system. They think for themselves and can fight a gender-based hierarchy of tyranny. The girl on the bus had been doing exactly that. The teenager was Malala Yousafzai, and there was a reason she was targeted. Along with her father, Malala advocated for education for girls and women. Under the pen name Gul Makai, Malala wrote for the BBC Urdu about education for girls. Malala's father, in his own right, had taught girls in his own makeshift school for years. Then the Taliban took over much of Pakistan and it all changed. These extremists, not to be confused with other peaceful Muslims, wished for a return to the ways of the past, when men dominated by force and women were subservient and dependent. Women were property, not people, and the Taliban fought for a return to this archaic mindset with extreme measures. But Malala wasn't having it. Malala's father recalls when his daughter was only a few years old, walking into the girls' classroom where he taught, and pretending that she was the teacher. Up to the age of 17, Malala voiced her own support of education for girls in Pakistan, becoming quite well known. This is why she had been targeted. In the end, the Taliban soldier on the school bus was very successful. Not in his mission, not in killing Malala, but successful in the worst possible way for him. He had made Malala an internationally known figure with one shot. The girl was taken to a Pakistani hospital, then flown to Birmingham, England, where her serious condition required intensive care and was placed in a medically induced coma. But she was alive, and she recovered. She said there was a crossroads for her after the shooting. Either lay low, stay quiet, and live without danger, or, well, I'll just tell you, she didn't choose the first one. Only months later, Malala would write her best-selling book, I Am Malala. Later in 2014, still in the same year as her near-death experience, Malala was awarded what some may consider the greatest award on planet Earth, the Nobel Peace Prize, for her work and dedication in the pursuit of education for girls and women. Malala, accompanied by her father, her biggest advocate, traveled the world to places like Kenya, Jordan, and Nigeria. It was in Nigeria where she spoke out against Boko Haram, Nigeria's version of the Taliban, that had kidnapped girls from a school earlier that year. She met with Barack and Michelle Obama at the White House in the Oval Office, where she sat quietly, knowing her place, and only nodded shyly when acknowledged. Okay, that last part isn't true. Malala did not go through her horrific challenges and have one half of her face paralyzed by a gunshot, only to sit quietly in front of anyone. During that meeting, this girl, still just a teenager, told the President of the United States that she disagreed with U.S. policy of using drone attacks to attack villages in Pakistan in an effort to target terrorist leaders. Malala told Obama that it did more harm than good. Many drone attacks resulted in collateral damage, killing innocent civilians, building a resentment among the rest of the Pakistani people, and was a wildly successful recruiting tool for the Taliban. She went on to create the Malala Fund, an organization that funds many countries around the world where the education of girls and women is in jeopardy. Her influence was and is wide-reaching. But what about her own education? Well, this young woman, once the target of the Taliban, and their mission to stop her from speaking out and to stop all women from education, graduated from Oxford University in 2020 at the age of 23. She is a shining example of tenacity, character, and righteous defiance. So what is her personal dream? Malala Yousafzai has her eye on a most ambitious objective: to one day win the Prime Ministership of Pakistan. A word of advice: if you're a gambling person, I would not bet against her. Thank you to Malala.org, CNN.com, Biography.com, Britannica, Women'sHistory.org, and UN.org for content assistance in this podcast. Images are courtesy of Malala.org.